Feliz jueves, Brooklyn. Feliz jueves, Brooklyn. Can you hear me this morning? Buenos días. Hola, Joe Marion. Let's remember our cameras, por favor. How are you today, Joe Marion? Yang, what you working on? Anything exciting? Brooklyn, how are you today? I see happiness. I see happiness on your shirt. What is happiness? Happiness is a cute puppy, a kitty kit. What's happiness? What's the rest of your shirt say? Oh, double happiness. All right. All right. Okay, so while we wait for everybody, you guys, let's think about what is your favorite story? That's a hard question, right? It could be something from your childhood. It could be something, if you're a reader, could be something that you're reading now. Maybe it was turned into a movie, right? What's your favorite story? And then do you have a favorite character or a favorite kind of story? Like, do you like read books? Do you like science fiction? Do you like romance? Do you like adventure? You know, maybe that's an easier question. Buenos días, Malia. ¿Cómo estás? So, Malia, we're thinking about stories or characters that we like or kinds of stories that we like. Pop it in the chat. Or you can unmute. You guys know I prefer if you unmute. Do you have a favorite story? Maybe who's a favorite character? Or maybe what's your favorite kind of story? So I'll go first. My favorite kind of story, my favorite genre, to use a fancy word, is historical fiction. You guys, I don't know if you remember first day of school. You know, I used to be a history teacher as well. I like that, Jo Marion. And so I like reading historical fictions, unless they're like romance things. I'm not into romance. That's a no romance and no horror, you know, no like scary stuff. I don't want to have it. Those two are a no for me. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, whatever looks interesting. Do you have a favorite kind of story, Brooklyn? How about you, Jamarian? You have a favorite kind of story? Or maybe something that you won't read, like me. Like I won't ever pick up a romance novel. Won't happen. If I go to the bookstore, you know, or the used bookstore, the library, I'm not picking up one of those. What about you guys? And thanks for being early, you guys. Thanks for being on time. You like all kinds? You like scary stuff, Jo Marion? Really? Y'all like scary stuff? Malia, do you like scary things? It's about that Halloweeny time. Really? Yeah. I remember like when I was your age, I used to like to go to haunted houses. Do they still do those? Do they have haunted houses for like Halloween? Really, Brooklyn? Okay. Yeah, that's good. Did y'all ever go to haunted houses or haunted whatever, whatever's? Oh, every year? Really, Malia? Yeah. Are they in Columbus or do you have to like go elsewhere? Yeah. Okay, Malia, for whatever reason, your Go Guardian is not connecting. So I don't know if there's something you can try again, refresh. I'm not sure which. Oh, okay. Oh, to Savannah. Is that far? I'm being so nosy today. I'm really not. I'm just trying to learn. Is that far? So have you all of you guys lived in Columbus or at least in Georgia your whole lives? Again, I don't mean to be nosy. I'm just trying 4 hours. Wow. That's a long drive. Have y'all lived in Georgia your whole life? Marion, have you lived in Georgia your whole life? In Las Vegas, Nevada? Because there's more than one. The one in Nevada. Yeah. Did you like it? That's way out west for you all. Did you like it way out west? You know, I love it way out west. Yes. Brooklyn, have you always lived in Georgia? I'll bet. I bet it was fun. Better weather too, maybe, huh? Malia, have you always lived in Georgia? Mississippi. All right. Okay. I've been through Mississippi. I've never been to Georgia. Maybe I should try make that trip. All righty. Here's what we're going to do today, class. It's talking about stories. Let's go ahead and get started because it's 8:35. Behind me, por favor, Malia. Marion, behind me. Hoy es jueves. Today is Thursday. Woohoo! El 14 agosto. You guys, we about have another week. Check, right? Check mark. Y hoy, today, vamos a leer y repasar con la cuenta de Mario el Caballo. So we're going to do a little review, right, of what we've been doing with like paragraph 2. Okay, we're going to do it a little differently today. We'll do a little Q&A, and then clase empecemos unidad 4. We're going to start unit 4 if we have time today. Okay. If we don't have time today for unit 4, no biggie. We'll start it Monday or whatever. You know, but I do want to finish up what we've been working with all week in terms of questions and the story, the beginning of the story, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's my goal, is to finish it up. Okay. Preguntas, questions, you guys? All right. I have a tune for us today. And let me see what I did with it. Where did I put that tune? Here it is. Okay. All right. So make sure y'all can hear, make sure y'all can see, okay? Because this is not very long, right? And it's just kind of to warm us up this morning. I do need your undivided attention for class. Remember, you guys, it's not English, and so it takes a little more concentration. It's not like I can just give you an assignment and say, here, do this, right? So we need to make sure that we're paying undivided attention to what's going on in class. All right, here we go. Here's our música esta mañana.
The beat drop on it.
You know what? I think I need to turn up my volume. Come on. Okay, let's try again. Okay, here we go. Make sure y'all can see the screen, por favor, and make sure y'all can hear, okay?
¿Por qué? Ask why. Cuando? Ask when. Donde? Ask where to find out who. Ask quién. ¿Cuántos is how many? And it sounds like quantity. Question words in Spanish. Seems like there are so many. Question words in Spanish. Seems like there are so many. With whom do you go? ¿Con quién vas tú? ¿A dónde is to where? ¿De dónde? It is from where are you? ¿Qué is what? Which is cuál? How is como? Put an accent on them all. How is como? Put an accent on them all. ¿Por qué? Ask why. Cuando? Ask when. Donde? Ask where to find out who. Ask quién. ¿Cuántos is how many? And it sounds like quantity. Question words in Spanish. Seems like there are so many. Question words in Spanish. Seems like there are so many. With whom do you go? ¿Con quién vas tú? ¿A dónde is to where? ¿De dónde? It is from where are you? ¿Qué is what? Which is cuál? How is como? Put an accent on them all. How is como? Put an accent on them all. Say why, por qué, say when, cuando, say how, como, say what, qué, say what, qué, say to where, a dónde, say who, quién, how many, cuántos, with whom, con quién, say where, dónde, from where, de dónde, say what, qué, say what, qué.
Okay. And I have many more gems like that, you guys. You're going to see some really sketchy things all year long videos. All right. So that was our little warm up today about our question words, right? The next thing that I want us to do, and I'm going to ask you some questions here real quick. So, is this, last couple of classes, right? We worked on reading, finding cognates, right? Those kinds of things, okay? And today, I'm going to ask you to do this, something similar, but in a more independent way, right? So I'm going to give you all some time, and then we're going to come back together, and we'll see how you do. But before we do that, I'm going to pull up some slides because I want to show you the difference. So I'm getting ready to show you something, and then I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think is the difference? Okay. Somehow I lost my slides. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Make sure y'all can see. Okay. All right. So here's our friend, right? Ahí está nuestro amigo Mario, right? Here's our friend Mario, el caballo. And last class period, you guys, we focused here. We focused on words. Buenos dias, Arshad. We focused on the text. Okay. And that was fine. You all helped me find describing words and cognates and, action words and stuff. And we talked about how action words can be movement or motion, or like passive things like thinking, where we don't actually see the movement or the motion, right? But I want to show you guys, I want you guys to pay attention to one thing. We didn't look at any images last class. We focused on the text, okay? What I'm going to do now is I want us to focus on these images. And again, we need to listen. So we're doing listening skills real quick today. And I want you to think about, on a scale of 3 to 1, we always do things in here on a 3 to 1. On a scale from 3 to 1, when we're done, I'm going to ask you to tell me, is comprehension easier? In other words, is it easier to understand the story that you hear with images only or with text only? So that's going to be the question. When I'm done, you're going to rate it on a 3 to 1. Is it easier to understand the story with text only or images only? Okay, that's going to be the question. All right, so let's listen. All right. So, hola, Marlecia. All righty, here we go. Escuchen, clase. We're listening, right? Escuchen. Mario es un caballo. Es un caballo blanco. Es un caballo normal. I'll say it again. Mario es un caballo blanco, es un caballo normal. Mario no quiere ser un caballo blanco y normal. Mario no quiere ser un caballo blanco y normal. El animal favorito de Mario es la cebra. Mario quiere ser cebra. Mario piensa en una idea. El animal favorito de Mario es la cebra. Mario quiere ser cebra. Mario piensa en una idea. All right. Question, right? 3, 2, 1. If you think it's easier to understand the story with text only, I want you to put a 3 in the chat. If it's easier to understand the story with images only, just go ahead and put a 2 in the chat. Text only, you put a 3 in the chat. Images only, 2 in the chat. Text only, you put a 3 in the chat if it's easier to understand the story with text only. If it's easier to understand the story with images only. I need to hear from everyone. Okay. All right. Interesting. Very interesting. Let me see this again. Wow. I wonder if that's something. Okay. Good answers, you guys. Good answers. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. And hola, Marlecia. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work on paragraph 2. And if we have time, we're going to start unit 4. We're going to do a little intro for unit 4. Okay. So we're going to do this one. We're going to experiment a little bit today. Okay. So I'm going to let you guys do this a little bit on your own. But I'm going to do this kind of backward. We're going to do the images first. Okay. And then we'll look at the text, right? Okay. So your job again, you guys, is to listen and to look at the images because, right, I am going to read it to you and you guys are going to need to figure out what is going on. Okay. Listening skills, right? Based on the images. Okay. All right, here we go. Now these images go like from left to right as though you're reading a sentence. Okay. I'll give you that clue. All right, here we go. And I'll read it twice. Okay. En la mañana, Mario va a la escuela y va a la clase de arte. Los estudiantes en la clase pintan pinturas de sus frutas favoritas. Mario pinta un tomate. Okay. Let me go back and I'll do it again. En la mañana, Mario va a la escuela y va a la clase de arte. Los estudiantes en la clase pintan pinturas de sus frutas favoritas. Mario pinta un tomate. All right. Very good, Joe Marion. All right, so what's going on in this slide, y'all? Joe Marion says in the morning, Mario goes to school and then he goes to art class. Very good. Man, you guys are good. Ooh, you guys are good. All right. And then how about this slide? Good job, Brooklyn. The students in the class, right? Los estudiantes en la clase pintan pinturas de sus frutas favoritas. So what are these students doing in this art class? Yes, very good, you guys. They paint their favorite fruit. Muy bien, right? They paint pinturas, paintings. So they paint, pintan, pinturas of their favorite fruit, paintings of their favorite fruit. Okay. Like a still life. Y'all ever done a still life in art class? Yeah. Okay. Mario pinta un tomate. What's Mario do? ¿Qué hace Mario? ¿Qué pinta Mario? Sí, Mario pinta un tomate. He paints a tomato. Is that, I know that's a fruit, but like, would you think of a fruit when, would you think of a tomato, right? All right. So you guys are fantastic. Muy bien. All right. So let's take a look at the text. And I'm going to ask you those questions where we can just pick the answers out of the story. Okay. So you've answered me in English. Let's see if we can pluck the Spanish words out of the story that we need and just pop them in the chat, or you can unmute, whatever y'all prefer. Okay. All right. Here's our first question. ¿Cuándo va Mario a la escuela? ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo va Mario a la escuela? Good, Joe Marion. You guys try to put the Spanish word in the chat. You all have answered me in English. Let's try to put the Spanish word. Do we recognize the Spanish word? Cuando with the D. Malia, Marlacia, Arshad, Brooklyn. Cuando va Mario a la escuela? Cuando? What does cuando mean? Arshad and Marlacia, they missed our rap. Yeah, when. So what's our answer in Espanol? En la mañana. Good job. En la mañana. Mario va a la escuela en la mañana, right? And I can recognize that here, Mario va a la escuela. So I'm listening and I'm trying to identify the words that match to help me locate my answer. Okay. All right. How about this one? ¿En qué clase va Mario? ¿En qué clase va Mario? Very good, Jamarian. Very good, Malia. ¿En qué clase? En la clase de arte. Muy bien, Brooklyn. En la clase de arte, right? He goes to school and then he goes to art class, right? Muy bien. Okay. All right, listen carefully. ¿Quién pinta? ¿Quién pinta? What's our quién? ¿Quién pinta? ¿Quién pinta? Malia? Arshad, I haven't heard from you yet. Very good, Joe Marion. ¿Quién pinta? What's quién? Y'all remember that one? Can you see it on the screen? What is quién? Who? Okay, very good. So, ¿quién pinta? If it's who, very good. So our answer in Spanish would be what, Malia? In Spanish, ¿quién pinta? Yes. So our question is asking who is painting? ¿Quién pinta? Right? Very good, Marlecia. So clase, los estudiantes pintan. Right? The students are painting. Right? ¿Quién pinta? Who is painting? The students are painting. Los estudiantes pintan. Muy bien. Okay. Couple more questions in Spanish, right? You answer the questions in Spanish. ¿Qué pintan los estudiantes? ¿Qué pintan? ¿Qué pintan los estudiantes? What does ¿qué mean? Yeah, very good, Joe Marion. What is ¿qué, clase? ¿Qué? Very good. So what? So the question is, ¿qué pintan los estudiantes? What? ¿Qué pintan? Pop your answers in the chat or you can unmute. Sus frutas favoritas, right? They paint paintings, pinturas, right? Paintings, pinturas de sus frutas favoritas, paintings of their favorite fruit. Okay, muy bien. All right, last question is the easy one. ¿Qué pinta Mario? ¿Qué pinta Mario? Un tomate. Muy bien. We could also say, ¿quién pinta un tomate? Who paints a tomato, right? Who's painting a tomato? ¿Quién pinta? We could say Mario, right? We could do that question as well. Well, you guys, I'm telling you what, you should pat yourselves on the back. You did a great job today, all right, on that. Muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. So we will do stories. We're not quite done with Mario. We'll continue him, but because we have to see what his idea was. Yeah, you guys, we have to see what his idea was. And so we will do different stories and different things like that throughout the year. Okay. Preguntas, any questions, y'all? Any questions? Okay. So, it's the first full week of school, really, like real hardcore school. And I want to make sure that we kind of understand what, I don't know what that means. I got a message and I don't know what that means, but that's okay. I just kind of want to show you real quick, give you like a quick tour, I guess, if you will, about how this is sort of organized if you were not with us. I know Arshad and Joe Marion probably already have this figured out, but for the rest of us, I want to just take a look at it real quick. So I'm going to share my screen real fast. And then you guys, I'm not going to tell you this anymore. Okay. I'm just making sure that we all communicate well. So we're in Canvas, right? And in our modules, I need to view as a student. Every unit is divided up into objectives, things that we have to accomplish. Okay. And so we just finished our let's review, right? And we are going to start, y'all, unit 4, right? Or unidad cuatro, right? Is the Spanish word. And our cultural sort of thing is Peru. Okay. And you can see that unit 5 is going to be about Spain, and unit 6 is the United States, and 7 is Argentina, and 8 is Chile. We have all of this to do, you guys, this year. Okay. And so you will see that as things load in our modules, the beginning stuff, in other words, the easier stuff, the foundational stuff, will be at the top of the module. And then as we move down the module, it'll like build on that. It'll become more difficult, because remember, learning Spanish is kind of like a stair-steppy thing. You know, you got to know this stuff down here to know the rest of the stuff, or to be able to do the rest of the stuff. So we always want to work in the order of the stuff in the module. Okay, does that make sense? You stop me if you have a question, right? The other thing is this: you are going to see, you guys, things called guided notes. Okay. And these guided notes are going to look different all the time. You know, they're going to look they'll be similar, because basically, you guys, our guided notes are vocabulary lists. Okay. Now, why do we have vocabulary lists? We have vocabulary lists because that's really the only way we have to kind of make that neural pathway into our brain, right? Sometimes it's images to words, sometimes it's words to words. You know, it all depends on what we're doing. Okay. And I try to mix it up as much as I can, but you know, you guys, a vocab list is a vocab list, right? But what you're going to see, and I'm going to share this with you because this is kind of important. Okay, this is my screen. So yours is not going to look like this. But what you're going to see is things like, take a look at my screen, please. Vocab slides for use with guided notes. And then you're going to see guided notes. If you are ever absent, if you are needing to finish your guided notes before you turn them in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and we're not in class anymore, you kind of have 2 options. The first option would be to get on YouTube and watch that as we go. The second option is you could just come here to the module and click on the slides and then complete it that way. Okay. That's just going to be whatever your personal preference is, but just know you are not to go on the internet, because like I said, it's going to give you random words, and you don't want random words, because then if we quiz or something like that, you're not going to know what that word means. Okay. So you want to stay with what is provided to you, not to mention that, you know, the rule is if we copy and paste from the internet, we get a score of 0. Okay. And so you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to torpedo yourself. Okay. It's really the same effort. It's actually less effort to click and open your slides and just go through the slide than it is to type in every word or copy and paste every word to try to figure out what the translation is. And then you copy and paste the translation and put it in your vocab. It's more work to do that than it is to just open up your slides. Okay. All right. Any questions about what I just said? I just want to be sure we're clear. Okay. So I need y'all to go to Canvas. I need y'all to refresh your Canvas screen. I need y'all to meet me in Unit 4. We're going to go to Peru. So what do we know about Peru, you guys? Do we know anything about Peru? What do we know about Peru? Not a thing? Well, do you think it's in Central America or do you think it's in South America? Makes a difference. Arshad, you got any ideas? Is Peru in Central America, like just south of Mexico? Or is it Central America, or is it just south of South America on the rest of the continent of South America? What do y'all think? Any ideas? It is in South America, and it's on the western coast of South America. Okay. And the capital, you guys, is Lima. And the whole country, right, of Peru is about the same size as the state of Alaska. Okay. And Peru is a fascinating place. Maybe we'll spend a little more time looking into it, but right through it runs the Andes Mountains. And so you have a lot of mountainous culture there, which is absolutely and utterly fascinating to me. Okay, so hopefully we'll get to listen to some of their music. Okay. Peru was home to the ancient Inca people, right? Now remember that we're talking about indigenous people, right? Native Americans, just like the Cherokee or the Choctaw or the Sioux or anybody else that we had in what is North America, right? Just different tribes, right? But indigenous Native Americans nonetheless. And the Inca built this place called Machu Picchu. And it's a 7 wonder of the world. And we will look into Machu Picchu as we go through the unit. Okay, so a couple of things about Peru, right? It's on the western coast of South America. It's about the same size as Alaska. Very mountainous, okay? Great music. And it was home to the ancient Inca people. So we'll look at those kinds of things as we go through. Okay. Bueno. All right. In Canvas, you should see those guided notes. And so go ahead and click on them. If you have a Cami, it's probably easiest to do it in Cami. If you'd rather do them like download yourself something and put it in your Spanish Google Drive, you can do that. Okay. You just want to make sure that you come back here to upload it and submit it. Now, if you want to just do it in Canvas here, just click on your text box right? And you got it. But I'm seeing, yeah, that our images aren't opening here. So I guess that's okay. All right. So what's the first thing you notice? Are you typing in English or are you typing in Spanish? You're typing in Spanish. So we do these together in class so that we can talk about them. We can make connections. You have time to type. Typing them in Spanish will help you spell them, right? It'll help you learn the Spanish sound system, right, of words. Okay. All right. Questions? Okay. Then get ready to type. So give me a thumbs up, you guys, when you are organized and ready to go. All right. Arshad is ready. Jo Marion is ready. Malia, Marlacia, and Brooklyn, let me know if you're ready to type. I need a thumbs up. Brooklyn's ready. Marlacia and Malia, let me know if you're ready to type. All right, Marlacia's ready. Malia, how about you? All right, good. Okay, here we go, you guys. La comida is obviously based on the image is food, yeah, or foods, or depends on how we use the word. So our first couple of sections in our new unit, you guys, is about food. That's a good thing. It's food units are easy, right? That's a good thing. All right, here we go. So before you do anything, let's take a look at the screen. Because I do, we have to kind of explain some things, right? All right, so we're talking about foods, and what do you think bebidas are? Las comidas y bebidas del día. What is a bebida? What's your guess? You can unmute. Jamarian, you got a guess? Marlacia, you got a guess? What do you think bebidas are? We said comidas was food. We know dia is day. So foods and what of the day? Very good, Arshad. Drinks. Las comidas y bebidas del día, right? Food or drinks. So can we think of a word in English like drinks? It's a word that we never use. But do y'all know the word beverage? Yes, you've heard that word beverage. You ever wonder where in the heck that comes from? Like, why don't we just say drink, right? Because it comes from this Latin bebida, beverage. Okay, the BEB becomes BEV, right? It's a weird deal. Okay. All right. So we have las comidas del día, right? The foods of the day or meals of the day. So our first meal of the day, you guys, is el desayuno. So breakfast, right? Breakfast, el desayuno. Notice our little sun, right? It's not quite, it's morning, okay? So el desayuno, breakfast. And since you're typing in Spanish, you all need to tell me if I go too fast or if I go too slow, okay? All right, then our sun moves to the high point of the day. So clase, that's going to be lunch. La comida is also the word not only for food, but also lunch. Okay, la comida. Lunch. Our next one, notice our sun is further down the road here in our day. And we have la merienda, which is a snack. A snack. The sun's still shining here. La merienda. And now look, you guys, we have the moon. So it's nighttime. And we have la cena. La cena. Cena is dinner, right? I guess, or supper. I'm not sure what word you all use for the sort of last meal of the day. So breakfast, el desayuno, lunch, la comida, snack, la merienda, and dinner, la cena. La cena. All right, I have a quick question. How do we know that these things are things? In other words, how do we know that they're nouns? Like, we say like eat dinner or have a snack or eat lunch, right? How do we know that these are things and not actions? What is the clue in the word here? Do y'all understand my question? What is the clue in the word here that tells us they're things? Malia, can you figure it out? Malaysia, what is the clue in this word that says that they're things and not an action? Brooklyn, what do you say? Yeah, very good. The L and the la, right? Because it means the, right? So the breakfast, the lunch, the snack, the dinner. Okay. So what do we know about eating habits, you guys? What do we know about eating habits, say in Spain or in other parts of the world? Anybody? Ideas? Well, notice, you guys, that for breakfast here, because this is important, right? When we go overseas or when we go to a different country, we don't want to be the quote unquote ugly American and not know what they do, right? We got to have some kind of understanding of the culture that we're visiting. So notice, like, you guys, for breakfast here, el desayuno, there's no eggs, there's no bacon, there's no grits, biscuits, and gravy, hash browns, right? It doesn't happen, right? For most of the, like, South America, Europe, and that, okay? Breakfast is like a coffee, some kind of, drink, tea, whatever the person prefers. But it's usually like a toast, maybe like a croissant, like a bread. Maybe like in Mexico, you might even have a concha. You guys have ever seen the little breads that look like a shell, like a sweet bread? Yeah. You might have yogurt. Okay. Very, very light breakfast. No meats and potatoes or anything like that, right? So just know, if you're a big breakfast eater, when you leave the United States, you're not going to find that really, right? The rest of the world doesn't really eat breakfast that way. Okay. But then look at what we have for la comida, for lunch. They got like pasta and meatballs and, maybe salad and whatever else, because they eat such a light breakfast, you guys, that lunch is their biggest meal of the day, right? La comida, lunchtime, is the biggest meal of the day. And are y'all familiar with the word siesta? Siesta? What is a siesta? Y'all know this word? We hear it sometimes in English. What is a siesta? If I go take a siesta, what am I doing? Anybody? Malia, what's a siesta? Brooklyn, have you ever heard that word? Arshad? What does it mean if I'm taking a siesta? It means I'm going to go take a nap. Good guess, though. I'm going to go take a nap. Una siesta with an S, right? Is I go take a nap. So most of these European cultures, Central and South American cultures, they have this big meal of the day, right? And they usually go home to eat it. and then they go take a siesta. So if you're in, let's just say you're in Spain, or maybe I don't know, Peru, right? And you're this tourist and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go have lunch, and then let's go have lunch, and then let's go shopping or something, right? Let's go sightseeing. You guys, everything closes. Everything closes after lunch because everybody goes home for a siesta. Okay. So you're not going to be able to go shopping after lunch because stores are going to be closed usually. Okay. So, comida, lunch is the big meal of the day. Then they go siesta. Then they go back to work or whatever. Well, then you guys got to figure by 5 o'clock or something, they're kind of hungry. So they have la merienda. They have their snack. Okay. So what the heck time do they eat dinner? You guys, they don't eat dinner till like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. That's when they eat dinner. So once again, if you're an American tourist and you're going to go say, okay, it's 5, 6 o'clock, it's dinner time. Ain't going to find it. Right. You're going to find snack stuff, but not dinner. Right. You're going to have to wait till later for dinner. Right. So that's the thing. That's kind of what I like anyway about traveling, and you go to a different country and you see how they do things. So do you like the idea of a siesta? Yeah, Marlacia does. Yeah. What about eating dinner at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night? Y'all like that? Maybe not so much. Yeah. Well, you know what though? The young folks, like people your age, they make it a big evening. Like they go out at 10 o'clock at night and then they hang out until, whatever. They go out with friends and have a bite to eat or something, whatever. Because then la cena, dinner, is a very light thing. Okay. They don't eat like a heavy meal. Okay. So it's a smaller meal than lunch, la comida. But they enjoy it. They go out and hang out with their friends. Yeah. It's just a different way of life, right? Which is the fun thing when you travel, to be able to explore those kinds of things. Okay. Okay, clase. So breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, el desayuno, la comida, la merienda, and la cena. And we know this already, right? Desayuno ends in an O, making it masculine, and that's why we use el. The rest of these end in an A, meaning they're feminine, and so that's why we use la. Okay, just a reminder. Okay, so here we go. Los alimentos. That's another word for food. Alimentos. We do use this word in English. Okay. Bueno. All right. So you should be able to type. If you have issues with typing, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Okay. So el arroz, clase, el arroz is rice. And la carne is meat. Like that's the general word for meat. So notice in the picture there's like beef and then chicken and pork chops. And so meat in general, right? La carne. El arroz, la carne. Okay. Is typing going okay? Give me a thumbs up, yes or no. Yeah. Okay. So again, let me know if I go too fast or too slow. Okay. Then we have la ensalada. Thank you, Arshad. Or la lechuga. So ensalada is salad, right? But they also use it sometimes to refer to like lettuce, la ensalada. Or la lechuga is the specific word for lettuce. Okay. So ensalada, salad, stuff, and lechuga is lettuce. Los frijoles, beans, right? And then of course you're going to have different kinds of beans, but frijoles. And we see that if you guys eat at Mexican restaurants, you might see the word frijoles, you might recognize that word. Okay, can I go on? Did I say? See? All right. Well, like I said, if I go too slow, you just need to speak up. All right, eggs. El huevo or los huevos. And el maíz, corn. So if we know anything about Central and South America and Mexico, we know that corn is a staple item for them. Corn and potatoes come from the Americas. And so think about this. So like before, and tomatoes, let me say this again. Corn, potatoes, and tomatoes, okay, all come from the Americas. So if you think about this a minute, before the Spanish arrived in the United States in the 1400s, I mean, in the Americas in the 1400s, okay, and they arrived from Spain. So Spain is in Europe, right? So in Europe, there were no potatoes. There was no corn. There were no tomatoes in Europe, amongst other things, right? But we'll just pick on those three things for a minute. So the Spanish came from Europe to the New World and they found these products and then they took them back to Europe with them. Well, let's think about that. Think about Italy. Pizza sauce, right, you guys? Pasta. So before the Spanish came to the Americas, in Italy, pizza with red sauce and pasta with red sauce did not exist. There were no tomatoes in Europe. Isn't that weird? Yeah. History is a joy. There's history of everything, right? Okay. La mantequilla, big long word for butter. La mantequilla. And el pan, bread. La mantequilla and el pan. Okay, if I need to go back, just holler at me. La papa is potato. In different Spanish-speaking countries, they'll tend to use the word patata instead of papa. So depends on where you are, papa or patata. And then fish is el pescado, but this is only, pescado is the word for fish as a meal, not the actual animal of fish. Okay. So pescado is as a meal, fish as a meal. Okay. El pollo, chicken. El queso, cheese. And you've probably seen these again at a Mexican restaurant on the menu. Pollo, queso, cheese. And we know there's tons of different kinds of cheeses and all of that, right? El pollo, el queso. Notice the Q-U-E is the K sound. It's not queso or anything like that. There is no K in Spanish. So they take Q-U, Q-U-E, Q-U-I, and make it a K sound, right? Queso. Okay. Salsa, we know. And sopa, soup. Sounds like soup. It's a cognate, right? Sopa, soup. So you guys know I love New Mexico, yeah. And they have they grow a specific chile called Hatch. It's a green chile because there's Hatch, New Mexico, and that's the only, like the only authentic Hatch green chili is grown in Hatch, New Mexico. It doesn't grow anywhere else. Okay. And so when you go to a restaurant in New Mexico, anywhere in New Mexico, they have their own food, like they have their own food style. It's New Mexican food style, right? It's not like Mexican food. Anyway, so when they ask you, do you want green sauce? You want chile verde or chile roja? Or there's a third option, green, red, or do you want Christmas? Christmas meaning both on your plate. You want both green and red, right? The colors of Christmas. So they call it Christmas. So any restaurant you go to in New Mexico, they'll ask you, you want green, red, or Christmas, right? How do you want your salsa? So that's always fun. I always do Christmas. Okay, any questions? So how are we doing, you guys? All right. Am I going too slow? If I go too slow, you can tell me that, right? All right. Las verduras are vegetables or greens. Okay. So you're going to see the word like vegetales, vegetables, or you're going to see this word verduras, which is like greens. Okay. So veggies. Okay. Okay. Then we have los postres. Los postres are desserts. Like, what word does it remind you of? Los postres in English. What word do we use sometimes? Pastries. Very good. Los postres. Okay. And what do we have for postres? We have helado, ice cream. And some Spanish-speaking countries use the word torta for a cake. Most of them you might find use the word pastel for a cake. So kind of have to know both or be aware of both. In some Spanish-speaking countries, a torta is actually a sandwich, like a special kind of bread that you use for sandwich. Okay, so it all depends on where you are. Torta or pastel is a cake, right? Helado. Clase, ¿cuál es tu helado favorito? ¿Cuál es tu helado favorito? Desserts are postres. Malia. Okay, check the chat. Very good, Marleisha. Clase, ¿cuál es tu helado favorito? ¿Cuál es tu sabor, flavor? What am I asking you? ¿Cuál es tu helado favorito? ¿Cuál es tu sabor? What's your flavor preferido? You guys have a favorite ice cream flavor? ¿Cuál es tu? Sí. Brooklyn? Somebody said chocolate. Yeah. chocolate, cookies and cream. Yummy, yummy. Anybody else? ¿Cuál es tu helado preferido? What's your favorite ice cream flavor? Chocolate, cookies and cream. Mine, you guys, is mint chocolate chip. Now, why I like that, I cannot tell you. Cookie dough, yeah. Mint chocolate chip, because I don't like mint. I don't eat mint, anything, right? But I do like mint chocolate chip, and I don't know why. Regular vanilla with lots of toppings. Yeah. Yep. I'm all about that. Me too. Okay. Muy bien. How about your postre? You like it too? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't eat mint anything else but that, right? Okay, ¿cuál es tu postre preferido? What's your favorite, like, pastry, like cake flavor or cinnamon rolls, or I don't know. ¿Cuál es tu postre preferido? Do you have one favorite thing? Cheesecake or something like that? Brownies. Ooh, I like me some brownies with some warm brownies with vanilla ice cream on top. Right, you guys? Y'all. Anybody else? Cinnamon rolls, cheesecake, peach cobbler. Absolutely. I like apple, anything apple crisp, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. But you know what my most favorite thing is on the planet ever? Lassie? Brownies for you too. Apple pie. But you know what my most favorite thing is ever? Donas. Las donas. You know what a donas is? A donut. A donut. I would push people away for a donut, especially if it was an apple fritter donut. Yes, I'm all about the donut. That's actually my favorite. Y'all like donuts? Y'all like donuts? If I could have a donut for breakfast every day of my life, I would be happy. You like the toppings? Well, Brooklyn, you got to have a good donut. They're not doughy if they're done right. Yeah, especially the cake kind of donuts. Those are great. Okay. Anyway, I could talk about donuts, not the chocolate topping. Yeah. Well, there's all different kinds of donuts. My favorite are apple fritters. Yep. Okay, then we have clase las frutas. Las frutas. A mí me gusta más la piña. Clase. Mi fruta favorita es la piña. What's a piña? What do you think I'm saying? Mi fruta favorita es la piña. What do you think piña is, since we're talking about fruit? You might, yeah, yes, or ananas. Sometimes it's called ananas. If we go to Spain and we want pineapple, we have to ask for ananas, right? Yes. So that's my favorite. What is yours? Sí, a mí también, Brooklyn. ¿Cuál es tu fruta favorita? Marleisha? Malia? Watermelon? I love watermelon, but you know, they're too expensive, man. A little watermelon nowadays is like $8. But I like them too with salt. You put salt on your watermelon? Poquitito de sal. Yeah, it's good. Yes, I know. It's craziness. Okay, muy bien. All right, so what do we have? We have la manzana is an apple. La manzana. You guys, I could talk about fruit all day. We're about done with class too. La manzana. I like la mantequilla butter de cacahuetes, peanut butter. A mí me gusta la mantequilla de cacahuetes, peanut butter, con La manzana with apples. I love that. Apples and peanut butter. See? And we have to remember, you guys, real quick before the bell rings or before we're done, that we have to remember that much of Central and South America lies along the equator or below the equator, right? Like south of the equator, meaning that there are tropical things going on. And so there are going to be all kinds of fruits that we are not familiar with. And one of them is this maracuya. And you can see by looking at it that it's like soft and they eat it with a spoon and it's kind of gross if you ask me, but that's okay. We just need to know the vocab word. El maracuya. Okay. It's almost like a pomegranate, like a tropical pomegranate, but slimy. Okay, so there's not going to be a translation for this. I mean, I don't know what this is other than it is a tropical fruit. Okay, maracuya. In English, anyway. Okay, let's do these two and then we'll be done for today, y'all. La naranja and orange. And then you might see banana as the fruit, and then a plátano is a plantain. So in the Caribbean area, a lot of plantain eating going on, which is like a banana, but very starchy and not sweet. Okay, so they're not really interchangeable, but they look similar. So just know banana, or el plátano, a plantain. Okay. All right. Find a way, you guys, to save your list so that you don't lose what you've done. Okay. Yes, make sure that you save it some way, somehow, you guys. Now, if you did it in Canvas, you probably, I don't know if you should submit it to try to save it, but I think if you submit it, then you're not going to be able to go back and open it up. So whatever works for you. Okay, Klassen? All right. Thanks for your attention today. You guys did a great job. We'll practice these on Monday and we'll move forward. Okay, you guys did a great job with the Mario thing today. Very good. Muy bien hecho. Good job. Okay. Adios. Enjoy your weekend. I have it. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Brooklyn. So, have a safe weekend. Enjoy your day tomorrow, right? And nos vemos lunes. See you Monday. Adios, you guys. Thank you, Brooklyn. Adios.